Nashville, Tennessee was the site for Thursday Night Football this week, but not all went as planned for the Titans as they fell to the Colts 34-17. The struggles continue for Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry as they strive to pick up from where they left off 1 year ago. Phillip and Ryan, what's up, guys?
And we're back. Black Hog, Ryan. Black Hog. How about that?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I picked up for us to have for dinner before we
right in the studio, huh?
Yeah, before we went on to record another episode.
Beautiful meal, and I tell you, I don't think I've ever actually had it, but that brisket, I tell you, pretty good food.
That's right. They do have really good barbecue.
Hey, well, thank you for bringing that meal over. I tell you, it really did hit the spot. So again, we're coming to you live. Welcome back. It's been a hot second. We haven't been in here for what, a week?
Yeah, it was last Saturday.
Welcome back. Frederick, Maryland, the site for Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's Grill and Sportsland, your complete team outfitter. And what would it be like without Ryan Renner in Studio 6A tonight? It would be pretty boring. That's the answer. So, Ryan, welcome back, big dog.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be back.
Hey, some big news across the country that we didn't hit on last week as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win the election. Congratulations to both individuals as they are set to become the next president and vice president of the United States, January of 2021.
Yeah, congratulations for sure. I'm not quite sure if all the votes are counted yet, but congratulations for sure.
I know that was one of the longest elections I could remember in modern day history. I mean, me and you were sitting on the couch together. We couldn't wait for just to hear a winner.
Yeah, it did take a very long time.
A lot of restless nights, huh? Didn't catch a lot of sleep.
That's right.
Ryan, let's not forget November is Salute to Service Month, widely celebrated through the National Football League, and it should be. Wednesday was Veterans Day, and it's crazy to think, Ryan, without these brave men and women protecting our country and fighting for our freedom, that we would not be here today in the studio recording live from Maryland. So, again, thank you to the veterans and their families. Talk about the families. 100% committed to making major moves and traveling with their loved ones all across the world. Actually, I wanted to tell you before we get started, my Uncle Mike that now lives in Virginia, he served well over 20 years in the Air Force, now retired. But shout out to him all the way from Maryland. And we love you and we miss you, Wash Man.
Yeah, that's for sure. We can't thank our veterans and their families enough for what they do every day.
How about did you watch on Wednesday the CMA Awards were on?
I did not.
Did you catch that?
No.
I had to do this. Sports talk show, but hey, we got to talk about some of the biggest news going on this week other than sports. How about move over Carrie Underwood and Miranda Lambert? If you saw the CMA Awards Wednesday night, Maren Morris swept the trophies up on Wednesday night. Ryan, quicker than I could brush my face and wash up for bed. Brush my face, brush my teeth. But congratulations to her as she took home one of the biggest awards in country music, and that was a Female Vocalist of the Year. And I believe 2 other awards, but one other award was for that song that she wrote called Bones. I don't know if you ever heard of that song or not, Bones. But I tell you, what she's doing with her career is inconceivable. And the one and only Maren Morris, if you all haven't checked out her music now, it's time to do it. Some of the great songs that she has came out with has hit the charts within a matter of days of their release. And I tell you, what a great person. And she seems like she's very nice. Maren Morris. Hopefully one of these days we can get to meet her, huh?
Yeah, that would be something. Congratulations to her. And speaking of another woman that made big news coming today, Kim Ng made history today when she was named the Marlins general manager, becoming the first woman GM in MLB history.
There you go. Maren Morris on Wednesday night winning all these awards, and then congratulations to the first female general manager in Major League Baseball history.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So talk about, again, you all listening to this, you all know how big of fans we are for WNBA action. And wow, Ryan, now you start to see the first female vice president ever coming up in January, Kamala Harris. And then you have now the first female general manager ever in baseball. So talk about that. That's huge. The way our society is it's so male dominated by male jobs. But all of a sudden now, it's great to see that these females are starting to get opportunities that we never saw before.
Oh, for sure. It's great that women are starting to take the spotlight a little bit and move up.
Birthdays today. I know we told you all that we would be bringing them to you weekly, or at least we would try. Happy birthday to Asdrubal Cabrera. Asdrubal Cabrera. And he's actually a free agent. I didn't realize. I think he spent some time in Washington, I believe. But happy birthday to him. Today he turns 35 years. Not old. I like to say young. 35 years young. So happy birthday, Cabrera.
Yeah, he's kind of a travel man. He played for Cleveland, the Rays, Mets, Phillies, Rangers, and Washington Nationals. So he's played for a good amount of baseball teams throughout his career.
So, Ryan, without wasting any more time, without telling any more news not sports related, we're going to jump into the sports topic of tonight, and that is what happened last night on Thursday Night Football on Fox with Joe Buck, Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. Ryan, last night it looked as if the Titans would win until something happened to Rivers and company, and they looked like one of the hottest teams in football all of a sudden. T.Y. Hilton was back, and all was well for Indy and company Thursday night in the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right, in Nissan Stadium. You mentioned T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, Michael Pittman Jr., Mo Alley Cox. They had a big impact in last night's game. And you look at Phillip Rivers, 29 for 39, 308 yards, and a touchdown. Nyheim Hines with the touchdown carry and reception. So Nyheim Hines finally had a breakout game. But the Colts defeat the Titans 34-17 to improve to 6-3, and that makes the Titans now 6-3 as well. But with the loss to the Colts on Thursday night, the Colts have the upper hand in the division. I know when we went over all the divisions and broke them down, we picked the Texans to win the AFC South. But now we realize that probably wasn't the best pick.
A good pick now.
With the Texans sitting at 2-6 in the AFC South.
Yeah, disappointed J.J. Watt for sure, as his brother T.J. Watt having all the success in Pittsburgh, and J.J. Watt, it seems like he's being left in the dust now. But take nothing away from J.J., still a great ball player. But, yeah, I tell you, Houston, the Texans are really having their struggles nowadays, huh?
Yeah, I think it all comes back to that trade that Bill O'Brien made. And the Texans fired head coach and GM Bill O'Brien with that trade of DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if you talk to J.J. Watt, exclusive interview one-on-one, that he would not like that either, and he probably doesn't even want to talk about it that much. But, again, that's the J.J. Watt and company in Houston. Keep an eye on how much longer J.J. Watt spends with the Texans if they continue to lose.
Yeah.
I don't believe maybe he gets traded next year. Maybe he does not finish his contract out. I don't know the contract details, but keep an eye on that. Another team may pick up star defensive end J.J. Watt.
Yeah, and I know he's had some trouble over the years with injuries and being out for the season, so we'll just have to see what he decides to do.
Yeah, so again, moving back to last night, Thursday Night Football, it was the Colts visiting Nashville, Tennessee, playing the Titans. Ryan, looking over the highlights, because I missed some of the game last night, but the play actions were still there. The Tennessee Titans still call play action from what I've seen probably, over 60% of the time on their offensive snaps.
Yeah.
So a lot has not changed on that offense. For the Tennessee Titans, they still rely on Derrick Henry a lot. But Indy has struggled in the second half of ball games, said the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman on Fox last night, live on air. But they sure as heck didn't struggle last night in the second half.
Yeah, their defense stepped up big, shutting out the Titans in the second half. The Titans didn't score in the second half. They scored 7 in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter, and nothing after that. Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 103 rushing yards. The Colts kept him out of the end zone. However, you mentioned the play action is a big part for the Titans offense because the defense expects the Titans to run the ball with Derrick Henry. but I saw where the Titans scored one of their touchdowns on the goal line. They faked the run to Henry, and they did a jet sweep to tight end Jonnu Smith. So head coach Mike Vrabel has a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and he's a really good head coach. So the play action is a really big part of the Titans' offense. But this game was close until the third quarter with 1:52 left, which I think is a turning point in this game, is when the Colts blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown, which put them up by 10 and gave all the momentum to the Colts. The Colts played really well in the second half, like I said, shutting the Titans down and holding them scoreless.
Yeah, so moving the attention to the wide receiver corps, the wide receivers for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, are there any better as a group right now in the National Football League? I don't think there's a better team right now currently that stacks up better in the wide receiver room than the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that is a fair argument. They looked really good last night.
I mean, all you saw was Phillip Rivers, Ryan.
Yeah, I
Not
think
to cut you off, but he just kept throwing the ball over and over and over.
Yeah, big part of it was Phillip Rivers throwing dots all over the field. Michael Pittman Jr. led the Colts in receiving last night, 7 receptions, 101 yards, the rookie. I don't believe he has a touchdown yet on the season, so we're still waiting for him to get his first NFL touchdown. But that is a fair argument. And then you bring Nyheim Hines into the equation, what he can do on the run and through the air, running the routes for Phillip Rivers to throw to him in the backfield. So the Colts looked really dangerous last night, and I don't think the Titans had an answer on defense.
No, but they didn't, especially in the second half, where Indianapolis totally just lit it up. And I'm going to take a second. I was watching the highlights last night. Towards the end of the game, if you remember his name, you could tell me. The running back that came in for Tennessee towards the end of the game, I guess it was, of course, Derrick Henry, first-string running back. But Derrick Henry came out of that ball game last night once the Colts were up big. And what was the final score, 34-17?
34-17.
And
yep.
I thought it was very interesting because you see how you can't just run the ball, Ryan, anymore when you're losing big. You got to start passing.
Yeah, that's right.
So I tell you, what good is it to have Derrick Henry in the ball game? Well, I mean, all you're going to do is melt the clock. So see how it goes to show, yeah, of course, it's kind of like Baltimore. If you're winning, that style of offense is great, but you have to find a way to, hey, what are the solutions for your offense if you're behind 2 or more scores?
Yeah, and that backup running back you were talking about that came in for Derrick Henry was Jeremy McNichols that came into the game. Yeah, that is a fair point that when you're down 10 points, you have to start throwing the ball at some point, especially later in the game with the Ravens and the Titans being run-first teams. It might be a problem moving forward for the Titans if they continue to be down, having a deficit, especially in the fourth quarter when they have to pass the ball. I know A.J. Brown, their leading wide receiver this season for the Titans, was held to 1 catch on 4 targets for 21 yards, I believe.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, what a job and Indianapolis Colts right now considered, I'm guessing, the number 1 defense in the league. I mean, right up there with Baltimore and a couple other teams. But, I mean, Indianapolis, no question. Do they have the back, the corners, the defensive line, and the linebackers? I mean, talk about a deep playoff run if they get in, and it's looking like they will get in.
Yeah, and I think I actually still have the Titans winning this division if they can beat the Colts 2 weeks from now, because these teams play each other in 2 weeks again, and I think whoever wins that game
Come on, Ryan. What do you tell me? I can't change my picks? Come on, boy.
Whoever wins that game will win the division, because if the Colts win, then they obviously have the upper hand on the Titans, leading the series 2-0.
I think Tennessee's in trouble. I really do. The Colts, I do see the Colts winning the division, but I still say that the Tennessee Titans are in trouble. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe all the way back when this show started, I had Indianapolis winning the division because of my man Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, you did, and then I think you changed it at the last second and said that the Texans.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Well, can I go back to the Colts? Hey, I wanted to get your take on this before we head out. Andrew Luck and Reggie Wayne. Okay? Both of them used to play for the Colts. Ryan, no disrespect for Phillip Rivers, no disrespect for T.Y. Hilton. Currently the two top players on that offense for Indy. My point, if you put Andrew Luck right now and Reggie Wayne on this team that we currently have in the league right now, the Colts, I think if you replace the quarterback position with Andrew Luck and maybe not replace T.Y. Hilton, but just bring Reggie Wayne back onto the roster, I think if you put those two players back on this Colts team, I think that you see a Super Bowl contending team. No question. No question, Ryan.
Yeah.
You're looking at me with big eyes. I mean, that's big talk, but think about it. If you know me well, and I was a huge Reggie Wayne fan back in the day. And I tell you what, did he cause some damage for Baltimore? But I tell you what, you put them two players on this squad, and I think that you have a Super Bowl contending team that not a lot of teams can touch.
Yeah, I think for sure if you bring Reggie Wayne in his prime, I think that the only concern is if the defense can hold up, which we saw they did last night, but I think there's still some concern in the secondary and in their pass rush. I think their linebackers are very good with Darius Leonard leading the linebacking core. I think there's still some concerns, though, with the Colts defense, especially in the secondary. But bringing Reggie Wayne back and Andrew Luck, it probably would make a difference, but I don't know if it would lead to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but quick focus on the Tennessee Titans offensive line. Do you see how important an offensive line is in the National Football League? If they're not clicking on all cylinders, forget it.
Oh, for sure.
Forget it, because last night you saw when they started to get fatigued here and there, Phillip Rivers would drop back into passing mode, in his passing stance, play action that is. Henry would run off to the left or the right, no blocking. And without Henry blocking, wow, I tell you, with the Colts rushing Ryan Tannehill last night, that was a different ballgame for Tannehill.
Yeah, and we kind of see the same thing with the Cowboys, right? And their offensive line, three players get hurt on that offensive line, and you just don't see the offensive line click, even though you have a Pro Bowl back in Ezekiel Elliott. The Cowboys still aren't able to run. Elliott's had past 3 games have been really rough, and we kind of see the same thing with the Titans' offensive line not being able to click. Of course, Henry did manage to get over 100 rushing yards in the game, but he was held out of the end zone. So a good job by the Colts defense.
So as we close it out, what does this all mean for this specific division? And again, a big game last night, 2 rivals, same teams in one division. The AFC, what was it, AFC South?
Yep, AFC South.
So you just had to question, what does this mean? I mean, we're getting pretty late in the season. Thanksgiving coming up in a matter of 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. I mean, how will this all pan out for the AFC South, and what does it mean? Because, Ryan, as I sit with you here on this Friday night, the AFC South, it's pretty tight there. But as I scroll through, it's kind of weird because last night I was looking. You have the Chiefs ahead in the AFC West. No surprise, okay? No, was it surprise or no surprise? AFC West, Chiefs, no surprise. AFC North, Steelers, 8-0. Maybe a little surprised at their record, but surprised in first place? Not at all. Not at all. We had that discussion, Ryan. Ben Roethlisberger returning after a major setback last year, an injury. No surprise. First place, okay. Ryan, but the AFC South, Indianapolis Colts, okay. Well, now they're tied with the Titans. You say, all right, well, there's really no you can't say it's a surprise or not. You have 2 6-3 teams. And then all of a sudden you look at the AFC East and you see, hold on, is that not the Patriots in first place?
Yeah, and we said that. Yeah.
You tell me who's in first place.
Yeah, and we said the Patriots weren't going to win the division. We both picked the Bills, and we knew the Bills had a good team from last year, and the Patriots not having Brady, we see how that affects them now.
Aren't we on track to be right about that one? Buffalo Bills, shout out to, again, my good buddy Stephon Diggs, straight out of West Frederick Middle School. And how about the Dolphins, though, bringing in Tua? And they've won 4 straight games.
Big win last week against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
So that is a surprise. The AFC East, the Dolphins threatening a little bit on the Bills, but the Bills, very comfortable lead at 7-2. Switch over to the National Football Conference. You had the NFC West, Seahawks leading. Surprise? Nah, no surprise. You had the NFC North, the Packers. Surprise? Nah, not at all. I don't see a surprise there. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Switch over to the NFC South. The 6-2 Saints and then the Buccaneers. The Saints, though, have won 5 in a row. And the Buccaneers are coming off of a loss. That the Saints leading this division, not a surprise.
Yeah, and that's the only division that we disagreed with at the beginning of the season. You picked the Bucs. I picked the Saints. The Saints have beat the Bucs twice. So it looks like the Saints are
How
set
about
up.
that second time? Blowout fashion, huh?
Yeah, it was.
And then switch over to your division, the NFC East. Surprised the Eagles are in first? Nah, kind of not. I mean, right now, maybe you can make an argument you're surprised the Cowboys are sitting in the third spot. But you have to remember, their starting quarterback. Ultimately, yes, a lot more injuries, but Dak Prescott out.
Yeah, and the backup quarterback, Andy Dalton, getting the concussion, being put on the COVID list. And then their third-string quarterback tried him for a game, rookie Ben DiNucci. And then they bring in Garrett Gilbert, their fourth-string quarterback, against the Steelers. And somehow the Cowboys almost beat the Steelers, but the Steelers did prevail in that game.
So, I mean, you might say, what's your point, Phil? Well, back over to the AFC South after the game last night, Colts and Titans. Brian, let me go ahead for the sake and just let me change my pick. Well, I'll sit here. Would you do that for me? I'll slip you a couple dollars.
I'd let you change to the Colts.
I'm going to switch to the Colts, man. I tell you, because you have a good reason why I should. Texans 2-6. Let me catch a break. So we figured Jaguars have lost 7 straight. Obviously, we already figured they were on rebuild mode. Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew. I believe he got injured and did not play the last game against the Texans.
So, but still a bright spot for the Jags. Maybe their quarterback of the future. So my point is, Ryan, basically, you're looking at these divisions right now, midpoint in November. Not a lot of surprises that I see.
Yeah, not a whole lot of surprises, but I still think the Titans are going to win this AFC South.
There's a new battle to watch in. I have the Colts, you have the Titans.
Yeah, I had the Titans finishing 11-5 and the Colts finishing 10-6, but it's going to come down to 2 weeks from now in Week 12 when these two teams play again.
All right, and Ryan, a preview. Sunday Night Football on NBC. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya live in, what is it, Gillette Stadium, I believe.
Gillette Stadium.
They didn't change it. Still the name of that beautiful shaving cream, huh? Yeah, they didn't change the name of that stadium. So, Baltimore visiting Cam Newton and the Patriots. Ryan, I have Baltimore, but I'm not giving a score. Calais Campbell was just ruled out for Sunday. We received news today. Your big takes for Sunday Night Football, nationally televised.
Yeah, and of course, versus the Steelers, the Ravens lost Ronnie Stanley, left tackle, all-pro left tackle for the season. So that's a big loss on the offensive line. But I do have the Ravens in this one. I just don't think the Patriots are as strong with Tom Brady. And that defense is really struggling for the Patriots. I know I mentioned really earlier, even before the season starts, I mentioned how many players, I believe it was around 7 players that opted out on that defensive side of the ball for the Patriots, so I also have the Ravens in this one.
Well, we know how Lamar Jackson shines in big primetime games, sometimes, not all the time. He shined last year against Tom Brady in that, I guess it was Thursday or Sunday night. I think it was Sunday Night Football, where he beat, that was his only matchup against Tom Brady in his career while Brady was with New England. And probably will be the last because I don't see Tom Brady going back to New England.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe a one-day contract to retire a Patriot.
Yeah, to retire. Yeah.
But getting back to Lamar Jackson, maybe this is a game where he finally breaks out, where Ravens fans can see his passing ability, and maybe Marquise Brown has that career game that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, and Baltimore has a streak of forcing a turnover in 21 games. So let's see if they can keep that going on Sunday night.
That's right, a big streak and a big night in Studio 6A as we wrap it up. For Austin Anita and photographer Sean 10, I'm Phil Becerra.
And I'm Ryan Renner.
Time to go to bed, Ryan. Boy, am I getting tired after that pit beef.
Yeah.
And that make me tired. I tell you, it's just like eating turkey. Makes you tired. As a matter of fact, I'll be seeing you on Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah, and Thanksgiving, another big matchup, Steelers-Ravens. I know for sure we'll break that one down.
Oh, boy. I had to spend a whole episode just for that one, huh?
Yeah, Thanksgiving night.
Slide a little bit of stuffing and turkey on the table for me.
Yeah,
All right,
sure.
It's time to go to bed, bud. Man, I'm tired. Buena noche del Estudio 6A and Vivo in Maryland. We'll see you next time.